Great. Thank you, Bethany. Can you hear me?
Yep, let me read my little intro for you. So Building Engines is an operations platform designed for modern commercial real estate organizations to connect and align people, processes, and activities. Their property management tools transforms activity into intelligence so that CRE professionals can control their changing work environment with confidence, improve building operation performance, and increase asset value. Building Engines clients include many of the top public REITs, public-owned managers, and third-party management firms operating over 2 billion square feet of multi-tenant commercial office, medical office, retail, and industry properties in the United States and Canada. So thanks so much, Jody. You're all set.
All right. Thank you, Bethany. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it looks great.
Wonderful. So I'm Jody Sarma. I'm the VP of Product Management at Building Engines. We have web and mobile apps that support property management, owners, vendors, and tenants within a variety of commercial real estate types of buildings. But I'm not here to talk to you about that today. I'm here to talk to you about a brand new communications platform we've been working on called Benji. So we've been doing some research on how people like to communicate. And we actually have published a research study called the Tenant Experience Gap. You can find that pretty easily if you're interested in reading the whole report by just Googling Building Engines and Tenant Experience Gap. It comes up right away. But a few of the things that we found in that study I'd like to share with you. And one of those is that we discovered that 80% of businesses use text messaging more than they use phone calls or emails to communicate with the people that they want to communicate with. So that's a pretty high number. And so we dug into that a little bit, and we actually found that 61% of these people, not only do they just want to communicate with all of their contacts that way, they actually expect that the building to use the messaging channel for them to communicate for things that they need to know or things that they need to do related to the building. And that makes sense. You know, if you use text all the time for your personal communications, why wouldn't you want to use it for as many different types of communications that you possibly can use it for? I think it makes sense for buildings as well to think about this because what we're hearing from people who manage buildings is that you know, they want to hear from tenants, and they want to make sure that everything is running smoothly and that everything is up to snuff. What they don't really like is having tenants call them on the phone, because the best way to keep operations running smoothly is to make sure that any type of issues or service requests are logged in an operational system, so it's easy to make sure that things are assigned appropriately and things are getting done. So if somebody calls you on the phone, that means it's double work for you to take the call as well as to enter that into the system. So it's a really exciting opportunity to think about the fact that, you know what, you don't have to try to talk your tenant into using a web or a mobile app. They actually like messaging as their preferred means of communications. So that's where we thought about a new way or a new type of product that could leverage this opportunity, and we call it Benji. And Benji is an automated chatbot. So it lets tenant users self-service by interacting with the Benji chatbot anytime they want to keep tabs on information, make requests, or consume different types of communications from the building using the tools that they're already using today. So for us, that means just basic SMS text messaging, or in many cases, Slack as a different messaging tool. And the really wonderful thing is people already know how to send text messages, so you don't have to spend a lot of time training people on how to use the product. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take you through kind of an imaginary scenario that illustrates a few of the ways that Benji helps tenants and property management organizations communicate more easily. And after that, I'll actually show you the product live, so we won't all be in PowerPoints. So one scenario is that you might find that people are coming to visit you at the building, and we'll imagine that I work in a nice Class A high-rise where there's a security desk at the front, And so I've been texting back and forth with one of my colleagues, just using regular text, and I find out that a big exec team is coming to visit us tomorrow. And so I know one of the things that I need to do is pre-register them so they can smoothly check in at the visitor desk. So I'm already in text. So what I want to do is I just want to keep using text. And so instead of having to kind of context shift or go log into an app or download an app, I can just keep texting. But now I'm texting with the Building Engine's Benji chatbot. So all I have to do is type in some pretty basic information about who is coming to visit and when they're coming to visit. And Benji is able to parse that out and register the visitors in the system for their visit tomorrow. So that's great. But maybe one of the things that I need to do is make sure the whole building is ready for this visit. And I know that one of our main conference rooms, we're having a little bit of a problem with the connections for the TV, which is going to make our presentation go not the way we want it to go. So I know I want to create a work order and see if I can get somebody up here to make sure that the electrical plug is set up right. So again, I'm still in my text, and I can just create a work order by telling Benji that I've got a problem in the conference room, and Benji will ask me a couple questions so that I can indicate what type of problem it is. Here it's an electrical problem. I can even upload a photograph that'll get sent to the property management team so they know exactly what it is and where it is so that they can fulfill this request very quickly and keep me a happy camper. So now that we've confirmed what it is and where it is, I can go ahead and submit that work order. So Benji is not just a one-way tool where tenants can request services or report problems. It's also a way for the property management organization to have another and a better channel to communicate about things that are going on in the building. So that could be anything from a celebration for 4th of July, the common ice cream social, or notifying the tenant of some issues that they need to know about going on in the building. So in this case, we discovered that one of the two main entrances to the building will be closed for the next couple weeks for some repairs that are being done on the exterior of the building. So the property management organization is able to create a message that can be sent through multiple channels. And for my user today, it's awesome that they're seeing this in their text, because that's the app that they use the most, and they don't have to actually go somewhere to pick up this message. We definitely hear a lot from a lot of our clients that there's a lot of, I never got that message from the tenant organization, and when it pops up in the channel that they use frequently, you can be sure that they get that message. So it's great in my scenario here. I see this message in my text, and of course, I go ahead and I can just turn right back around and text my colleague, let them know that the door is closed so they can be let off on the right side of the building. They don't have to walk around the building in the rain, which I'm expecting tomorrow. So if we go back to my work order I submitted, good news is they actually came and they fixed the electrical outlet so I can have a great presentation. And the system automatically wants to know how I did. And this is a familiar paradigm. I know most of us are using Uber and a lot of apps. Building Engines has been rating or asking tenants for ratings for many, many years. And again, this is like another way where we are seeing a higher level of response rate, where people are actually seeing our requests for rating a work order and giving you a super fast way to just quickly rate the work order directly within the text messaging app. And finally, the next day, I can see immediately from Benji that my 3 guests have all checked in. I can see that they were checked in through the system by the security guard, and I get a nice little text message so I know that I can get up from my desk, walk to the front entrance of our suite, and greet all of my guests without having to spend a lot of time in any other apps. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint presentation, and I am going to switch over to my mobile app. If you can just give me one moment to join the Zoom on mobile. All right, so now I'm actually just on my mobile, I'm on my iPhone, and I'm looking at my messaging app, just my regular built-in messaging app. One of the things I'll point out that you can see is, in this case, I've gotten a few notices from our building that says that the building will be closed on Monday for Veterans Day. So again, very convenient for me. But I'm going to go through a few of the scenarios live that we talked about when I was on the PowerPoint. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to register a couple of visitors. So I'm going to say Tim Curran and Daniel Koza are coming to visit tomorrow at 2 p.m. So this is pretty much how I would just talk to anybody. So Benji is able to kind of understand that Tim Curran and Daniel are two people, so they've registered two visits, Tim and Daniel, that they're arriving tomorrow at 2 p.m. And they also know that since my office is on the 4th floor in Suite 402, that that's where they're coming to visit. So they can kind of reconfirm that back with me. I can see that that's right, and I just say yes, and now they are good to go. So that I find is really the easiest way to register visitors, but some people, they may not be as familiar with the system, or it doesn't occur to them that they can do it so easily. So there's also like a way that you can just go in and just do it step by step. So if I just wanted to simply kind of say, register visitor, I can be walked through collecting the set of information that's required. So I can say, John Smith, ask me when, p.m. He's also going to join us. And again, the system's able to confirm this guest. So we provide alternate ways that people can interact with Benji, either through kind of a free-form text base or a more structured set of Q&A. So there's a lot of things that Benji can do. We talked a little bit about how training is not required, and you can see it was pretty easy, but maybe I just want to know what Benji can do. So I'll just ask Benji. So depending on how the building is set up and what functionality is being used in the building, the user will get a list of the types of things that, that they can do within the system. So I just registered several visitors, so maybe one thing I might want to do is see my visitors. Make sure I put in the right people. So here I can see all the people that I visited. I've got a lot of visitors. I got a lot of meetings going on, so I can see those people. I also could find some information about people that I work with. So maybe I want to actually call somebody up directly. So I might say, I need contact information. So I want to contact Phil Mobley. And so the system can look up through the directory that Phil Mobley is another user in my organization. I can see his email, or I can click on his phone number and call him directly. So it's a handy way to access other users in the system. So now everything's good to go. I've been doing all this while I've been commuting into the office. And now that I'm at my desk, I'm actually going to switch off of my mobile app, and I am going to use Slack, because Slack is a tool that I use a lot when I'm working with my team at the office. So now I have switched over to my Slack interface. I'm going to just double check that I'm showing my screen here.
Looks great.
Good. All right. So this is almost the exact same interface, but because I'm using Slack at my desk, it looks slightly different, and in some cases, Slack provides a few other ways that I can work with the system. So I'm going to create a work order, and because I see some dirty carpet, and I don't like the way that looks. So Benji wants to know a little bit more because my office is pretty big, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload an image of my dirty carpet. Say it's near the door. And Benji was able to key off the fact that I talked about dirty as a likely chance that this is some type of cleaning issue. Again, it knows where my office is, and it captured the details in the photo, and I can simply say that this is correct. If it's not, I could say no, and Benji could ask me some other questions to try to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. Sometimes you might be doing something really quickly and you realize maybe you could have given a little bit more information. So I'm going to say that I want to add a comment. Now Benji knows that I want to add a comment, but I have several open work orders and Benji doesn't really know which one that I want to add. So Benji has given me kind of 3 buttons on which one, and this is the cleaning issue that I just submitted. So I can pick that one and I can say, let's see, it might be coffee. Great. So I'm going to just step away from Benji for 1 second, and I'm going over kind of behind the scenes to the property management view of the world. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm just going to say that the team has completed this task. All right, so since the team has completed the task, again, one of the things that you see is that Benji has come back and it said, how did we do? I'm a little bit picky, so unfortunately I'm going to say terrible. So Benji is set up, so it wants to know a little bit more information if I give a bad rating. So I'll say the cleaning solution is really strong. And so that will be sent to the property management organization. Obviously, everybody likes good news, and we hope it's always good news. But in the case of a piece of work being done that doesn't meet the needs of one of the tenants, you definitely want to know a little bit more about it. It gives you an opportunity to make it right and keep everyone very happy. I can also see my work orders. I'm curious what else I have on tap. Maybe I want to check in on this HVAC issue that I logged, so I can choose that, and I can choose why I want to see it. I either may want to add a new comment, add a new attachment, or maybe in this case I had said that I was too hot and now everything feels great, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this work order because we can see the details of the original work order and we're all good now, so I'll go ahead and cancel that work order. So no one has to bother to come up and see if there's anything that they need to do. So that's pretty much what I was going to show on the demo. I thought I might share a few little tidbits of what we've learned since we've been working with Benji. One of the things that we've learned is that we've talked to a lot of the users who've been using Benji, and they've given us a lot of feedback that confirms indeed they feel like using text is a much faster and easier way to interact with the property management organization compared to users who've used our existing mobile app or the web app. So that's always good to hear. We also have seen that between the two channels, Slack and SMS text, even though there's probably a lot more users out there who are using SMS, we actually have a higher adoption from the Slack users, and that's probably because we think so far from our discussions is that Slack users are a little bit more tech savvy, and so they're gravitating more towards using this type of interactive tool. Couple other things is that we're learning a lot about what people want to do. So, for example, we saw that I could register 2 visitors at the same time, and we didn't do that at the beginning. We started finding that people were just assuming that that would be something that you would want to do rather than registering people one at a time. And we can see where people's intents or the things that they're trying to do are actually completed. And we were able to kind of see that as a really common use case and add that back into the system. So I'm going to stop for a second. I see a couple of questions online. I see one question of, can you explain who uses Benji? For example, anyone in the building like tenants or only those in a management role? So the answer is organizations have some choices about who can use Benji. In our product, whether you're using Benji or whether you're letting tenants use the web app or the mobile app, you have the option of deciding within a tenant organization whether you want to allow all the tenants in the building to use have the ability to interact with the building, which is something that we encourage, or whether in each tenant you want to control it and have only a tenant administrator use that. So whoever is allowed to interact with the building through any of our tools, it's the same between Benji or the web app. And I see a couple other questions. Let's see.
Jody, one of the questions that I'm getting in my chat is about the onboarding process. You said there was really no training needed, but what does the onboarding look like for the building?
Yeah, so we've had, we're working with our organizations to do a few different things. We've had some organizations just publish the Benji phone number, or basically a short code that you can text Benji. You do need to be a user of the Building Engine's system to be able to use Benji. But what you do is you would text Benji, and if you're a Building Engine's user, Benji will ask you to do a quick login to link your Building Engine's user account to Benji, and then you are off and running. So it's pretty easy to either email or use Building Engines to push that information to your tenants, or even posting it other places where you have signage in lobbies or elevators. One of the things that we're working on that we'll be looking to add into the system soon is to actually promote Benji within our Building Agents application itself.
Others who have questions, don't forget you can use the chat or the Q&A feature. We see we have another question. I'll let you take that one, Jody.
Okay, so one of the other questions that came in was wondering whether you were planning to provide some analytics on the work orders, et cetera, to better understand the property. So I'm not sure whether this is from the, I'm going to guess it's from the perspective of the property management. We do have a set of reports in the system today that provide a big variety of how you can look at operations in the system, whether it's number of requests by tenants, whether things were completed on time, what tenant satisfaction ratings were. We can kind of slice and dice it a lot of different ways. And in fact, we're working on some new reporting and dashboards that'll let you see some things at a glance. So there are definitely some things, many reports in the product today, and we're continuing to add them. And if you are a Building Engines user, I encourage you to kind of reach out to anyone on the client success team if you have an idea of a report that you haven't seen before.
So another question was, what are the different systems that Benji integrates with? Are they all provided by Building Engines?
Yeah, so today they're all provided by Building Engines. We think that Benji wants to talk to a lot of different people. So we are absolutely looking at ways that Benji could integrate with other systems. So that's something we'd love to do.
And another question was, do property managers ever use Benji to communicate directly and coordinate with vendors?
So we don't today. Today, Benji is exclusively for tenants. I'm kind of interested in that one, but I think that's something that Benji could probably learn to do as we go forward. But right now, we've been focusing primarily on the tenant interface, but I like that as an idea.
That's all the questions I'm seeing. Basically, speak now or forever hold your peace. But any parting words for us, Jody, while people are maybe typing in the last couple questions?
Yeah, well, I appreciate everyone's time. You know, I look forward to sharing more about Benji in one of the future webinars. I recommend for anyone that is in any role that they interact with tenants to try to Google the tenant experience. Hold on, let me get the name, make sure I don't get the name wrong. Survey that we did, sorry, the tenant experience gap. So Building Engines, the tenant experience gap, you can download. It's a really wonderful white paper that we have built by Phil Mobley, who is the head of our tenant experience team, and unfortunately couldn't join us here today, but he has a lot of experience and is our head of research here at Building Engines. So I recommend taking a look at that report. We got one final question. We got just a couple minutes, so why not? Does Benji integrate with other FM tools? So it's the second good idea for Benji to talk to other tools. It does not yet today, but that's something that we're looking into because we think Benji has a great place as part of the tenant experience, and we'd love for Benji to be able to integrate and communicate with as many systems as possible. So if there's somebody thinks we should be integrating with, send those ideas our way. My email is jsarma@buildingengines.com, which is JSAARMAA@buildingengines.com, and we'd be happy to continue the conversation. Thanks so much, Jody. We really appreciate that. And I will be sharing contact information. These recordings, at the end of the week, we'll do a follow-up to our entire database. So you'll be getting this email and getting Jody's information and how you can find out more. Wonderful. So, thank you, Bethany. I appreciate everyone who took the time out of their day to listen in on the webinar. Thank you. Give us a second, everyone, while we transfer over to our next presentation. Riamini is up next. So if Gabrielle and Trevor and Ben over at Riamini are on, feel free to start grabbing the screen, unmuting yourself. We are good to go.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. This is Gabriella with Riamini. How are you all?
Hi, Gabriella. So yeah, are you all set? You can grab your screen and start sharing, and I can start reading an intro.
It just says that we can't share the screen while the other participant is sharing. So
all right, let me kick them out. Not a problem. Give me 1 second.
Thank you.